Hello. You want to see the lap? You want to see?
Wow. Hey. Well, I know y'all are both on a tight deadline. I know, Kay, you are on vacation and probably don't want to spend a whole lot of time. Was everybody able to look over the recommendations that we sent out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate y'all sending me your recommendations. We haven't heard if Nan is going to be on or not, but if y'all have any questions about the recommendations, I'd be happy to entertain those. If not, I think our goal here is just to vote on the report, and then get it signed and sent, because today is actually the deadline to get it in. So,
Mr. Chair, I had one question and then one thing that I wanted to just say. The question is, I still don't know what a retentionist is. Were we able to shed any light on that?
So what I found is there are these nurse retentionists that are hired to help, I guess, retain nurses. And they just, I think it may have something to do with HR or just, helping hospitals keep nurses in-house and to, better the work environment. I know that was a recommendation during the from testimony that we had at one of the meetings, and so I didn't see any harm in including it. But if there's anyone else that knows more about nurse retentionists than I do, I'd be happy to turn it over to them.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what the action item is, but there are a lot of recommendations in this report, and some of them are budgetary, some of them are maybe legislation, some of them are pretty broad, but I think they represent a good picture of all the things that we heard at the committee hearings. I personally have a problem, as you know, with number 1, and I'd sent alternate language that I suggested, and that's a patient safety issue for me. So if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to read what I sent you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I do recognize the excellent training that our CNRAs receive in Georgia. However, anesthesiologists and surgeons complete an additional 4 to 6 years of training after medical school so that they're ready to take on the entire perioperative experience and handle life-threatening complications when they arise. I believe that healthcare is best delivered by a team of professionals, especially in our rural areas with less backup when things go wrong, which thankfully is not very often, but when it happens, if it's you, it's a real thing. And so I recommend rewording number 1 as follows. The committee recognizes the shortage of medical personnel in rural areas, including anesthesiologists, and that this creates problems for surgical care. The committee also acknowledges the excellent training that CRNAs receive in Georgia and their ability to deliver anesthesia in a team setting. The committee encourages continued conversation about ways to optimize the delivery of anesthesia in rural areas. So that was just the language that I suggested to replace what was in number 1. I don't expect everyone on the committee to agree with me. And so with that, I support the report except for number 1. And so for that reason, I would have to vote against the report. So that's the end of my little X story. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kay, and thanks for your work on this committee. I know your stance on number 1, and there are some disagreements there, and hopefully, during this session we can find some middle ground.
Mr. Chairman, I will point out, if it's okay, the governor had a task force to study healthcare workforce in Georgia, and number 1 was one of the recommendations that came out of the governor's healthcare workforce task force. And the challenge is, what I'm told is that it's an impediment to hiring surgeons in these small rural hospitals, the language and the liability that the surgeon feels like they're taking on when they're not trained on anesthesiology. So we just have a difference of opinion on the policy. I do certainly respect Dr. Kirkpatrick's position, but I just disagree. So I fully support the report as written and the recommendations as written, and I'll make a motion at the appropriate time to approve that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I'm happy to second that motion. Do we have enough people to vote this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do.
Then yeah, I will second Chairman Walker's motion.
Okay, well then there's a motion and a second on the table. The motion is to pass the report as is. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, like sign.
No.
Okay, so it's 2-1 in favor of passage. So we will have this report submitted. I appreciate y'all taking the time today and for your work over the last year on this. I think there are a lot of really good recommendations that we've gotten out of it. And hopefully we'll be able to turn these into some good legislation in January. So thank y'all. Merry Christmas if I don't see you. And I appreciate y'all taking the time today.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Merry
Bye-bye.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.